Hey, what is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo, senior editor here at thekoalition.com, and welcome to a brand new episode of TK Spotlight, where I bring on phenomenal individuals from throughout the gaming industry and the various corners of the internet to talk a little bit about the good that they've done through their craft, to talk about the good and the cool stuff they've been a part of in the games industry, and a whole bunch of other amazing things. So today, I got a cool, fun special guest. I got Krystyne Escalambre, who is also better known to a lot of you guys, especially if you're a Nintendo fan, as GandaKris, who does a lot of custom Amiibo work, a lot of cool stuff. She's a content creator, a YouTuber. She's done a whole bunch of cool stuff. So Krystyne, welcome. Thanks for coming to chat it up with me.
Hello. Well, thank you for inviting me on the show. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and it's an honor. Thank you so much for reaching out, Jake. This is amazing. I can't wait to get this podcast started.
Of course. Yes, I've always admired your work. I always thought it was really, really cool. I thought it was unique. I thought it was different. You know, obviously with Amiibos and stuff, people been really crazy about these Amiibos out here. People buying up whole stores worth of Amiibos and stuff. But what I always thought was interesting with you is that you take it to a whole nother level where you buy and you take your appreciation, not just for Nintendo characters. Sometimes you make crazy custom Amiibos of like other stuff outside of Nintendo. But before we dive deep into that, I want to know the first thing, because this has always been bugging me for the longest. Where did you get the name GandaKris? Because I'm like, hold on a second. That doesn't match up with Krystyne Escalambre. Where'd she get Ganda from?
All right, so GandaKris, I've had it since I was in college, the first year. It was a nickname that I gave myself, and I'm half Spanish, half Filipino. So in my native language for the Philippines, Tagalog, which is the title for it, in Tagalog, beautiful or maganda means beautiful. So I found it really important for myself to be the first person to call myself beautiful. So maganda in Tagalog is beautiful, and I put GandaKris as a way to call myself beautiful, not because I was conceited or anything, but more like, you know, I was really shy and quiet, and I found it really important to make sure that you know, as yourself, you're beautiful in every way, you know, shape and form. And it doesn't have to, you know, just apply to looks. You know, I think it's really important that people know that they're beautiful inside and out. So that's why I gave myself that title. And I was going to change it before Custom Amiibo.
Never change it.
Went crazy.
Own that name. Own that name. Just take it.
I definitely will. Well, now I have to, but...
That's pretty cool. That's a cute story. I think that's a dope story. But that's interesting, because I always thought like there was some other meaning behind it, because again, it was so different to me. But now that you've told that story there, I think that makes it even much more interesting, much more cooler. But with that being said, though, speaking of beautiful stuff, you make beautiful artwork with your custom Amiibos. I mean, how did that start off? Obviously, were you an art student? Like, did you have a passion for art or maquettes or anything of the sort that kind of translated into custom Amiibo design?
Yes, actually in high school I took ceramics and I took drawing. I took a lot of art classes, and at the time I didn't have too many friends. I definitely had my sisters who attended the same school, so I was able to interact with a lot of people through my sisters, so their friends were my friends. I don't know, for some odd reason growing up it was really hard for me to make friends, and it took till junior year of my high school career to go to my first video game club, and my sister dragged me to it, but I had met so many friends who shared the same interests. I'm still friends with them today, so it was really nice to interact with people, and I didn't have to talk about myself so much. I could just talk about my art, and I just correlated the two by drawing video game characters, or, you know, in ceramics class I would make Kirby or Falco. So my art career definitely started early, just based on the fact that I knew my art appealed to a lot of people. And again, I didn't have to talk too much about myself. I was really scared of judgment, but you know, who isn't? So yeah, that's how it got started. I just combined video games and art, and that's where it all began.
So, do you think, like, as you were growing up and going through those trials and stuff, did that help, you know, allow you to kind of really hone your craft and really kind of, you know, take your appreciation for art, or just your skills, and, you know, and how it translated now to custom Amiibos to a whole new level? Like, were you able to put a lot of effort into all that stuff because of that?
Oh, yes, of course, because I didn't spend too much time, you know, talking to people, even though I really wanted to. Since I was alone most of the time, I would just make art. I remember when we were kids, me and my sisters, we had the whole 150 Pokemon poster, the original 150, and I sat there and started Right? And I sat there and started drawing Blastoise, and not just drawing him, but drawing him to perfection.
You see,
So
now this is why me and you are going to get along so good, because I love Blastoise, and I'm a Gen 1 guy. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Please continue.
yeah, Blastoise, he's the man. So my art career literally started with Blastoise because I sat there. I remember that day vividly. I sat there trying to draw Blastoise and making sure that it was perfect. And again, if I messed up, I would erase it and then just redraw it. And it's funny because, my sisters would then cut out my drawings, and of course they would have Pokemon battles, and Pokemon battles are really rough. So the Pokemon's limbs would rip off and the head would rip off, and then I have to redraw the Pokemon. So they definitely allowed me to practice my talent and hone my skills. And, again, not having too many friends, I really did dive into my craft and making sure that it was also perfect, and I wanted to get better. And that's how I got started. Practice makes perfect. So
of course, there you go. And obviously that's translated to what you do now. So fast forward, years later, how did you first get introduced to Amiibos? Or how did that actually, the idea of just modifying Amiibos and changing them up and, making them better or making them different, how did that kind of start off?
Well, funny enough, during my high school career, I remember going to ceramics class, and this is during Brawl, right when Brawl got released. So this is way before Amiibo, but I remember making, technically, I guess, the first Amiibo where it literally had the stand and it was Kirby in his famous pose. So it was really funny because people asked me, how did you get started with custom Amiibo? And I was just like, well, I got started a while back, but with custom Amiibo, when they came out, it was just a lot easier to recreate them and not having to start from scratch. So that's really important, is where, customizing Amiibo just makes it easier for not only me, but for anyone who wants to dive in.
So, did that extend off from your love and appreciation for Nintendo characters, or just gaming in general? Because obviously you mentioned Kirby. Everybody loves the pink puffball of Nintendo, Kirby. But was it because, Kirby was your favorite character, or was it because you had an appreciation for Nintendo games, or more specifically just for gaming as a whole?
I love gaming. So me and my sisters we've had so many consoles inside the house. We had Game Boy Color, we had the PlayStation, we had the GameCube. But I guess for me, I really love Nintendo because it allowed me to make friends for the first time. So I went to the video game club. Everyone was playing Melee. That was the game that started everything. There was tournaments that I heard about. There was a ton of people that I met who played professionally, and it was amazing to go to my school and go to the video game club and meet all these people who were, professionals that knew advanced techniques and wave dashing and all that stuff. And I wanted to get as good as them. And funny enough, they were the best, and they taught me all their tricks and stuff, and it was just amazing. So I owe Nintendo so much of my inspiration. Pokemon got me started when it came to drawing. Melee got me started when it came to, making ceramics and clay and sculpture. So Nintendo has always been my absolute favorite gaming community.
That's cool. So speaking of which then, what is your favorite character, whether it's Amiibo related or even just figure and maquette related, to really kind of work with or create new things with? Because, you've done a lot of stuff with Pikachu. You've done a lot of stuff, obviously, with Kirby. I've seen, Pokemon related stuff all over the place. But then I also see other varieties of different series here and there on stuff that you've worked on. But which one is your personal favorite and one that you always gravitate towards when it comes to making something new for everybody to see?
I absolutely love Pikachu just because, when I played Melee, that was my main. Every time I play Super Smash Bros. Brawl or Melee or Smash 4, it's always going to be Pikachu. I've always really gravitated towards the yellow rodent. When customizing, it's just really easy to dress up Pikachu in just about any outfit. Again, I call Pikachu basically the Barbie doll of the Pokemon world. He's now a detective. So it goes to show that Pikachu is very versatile, and you can just put him in absolutely any outfit. So Pikachu. Pikachu's definitely my favorite.
You know, that is very true, because I've even seen you do a custom amiibo. I know you talked about it in your recent Game Informer interview, where you did a Flash crossover with Pokemon, where it was like Pikachu, I guess, dressed as the Flash, or like some sort of decaled version of it. But you've done that for a variety of different things related to Pikachu, which I always thought was interesting, because there's, again, you're right, Pikachu as a character is so versatile as a mascot, you know, going all over the place, doing a variety of different stuff. Is there another character besides that you feel like is just as versatile as Pikachu?
Ooh, that's hard. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what I've customized personally.
It doesn't have to be Nintendo either.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
There's a lot of characters out there.
I know there's a lot of characters, and only Nintendo characters pop in my head because I'm surrounded by Nintendo characters. Obviously, Mario's up there. You can dress up Mario in just about anything.
That is very true.
Right? Yeah. I mean, he's so versatile. And then for some odd reason, Spyro's popping up in my head because I love Spyro. But I just know Spyro's coming out with a new game or a remake or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited about that. But here's a better question as you think about that. What is one character that you felt like you've always wanted to work with in doing something and creating something, but never really had the chance to do so as of yet?
Ooh. Let's see.
I know, tough questions. Random questions.
This has got it's early in the morning, so I'm not a very morning person.
You haven't had your breakfast yet, you can't think.
Yeah, I'm just waking up. I'm gonna be honest, I'm just waking up. But I don't know. Spyro and Crash Bandicoot has always been like my favorite characters. I grew up with them when I was a kid, and my sisters, we would just play those games consistently. So Crash Bandicoot and Spyro are like really close to my heart. They're definitely those are the characters that I can think of that I can relate to. Other than Pikachu, you know, I really do own Nintendo so much. You know, being a Nintendo brand ambassador, they're my favorite company. So it's really hard for me to get out of that Nintendo world.
Yeah, true. But I think I would love to see something like that. I mean, obviously there's a lot of figures and different types of like little statues for like Spyro and Crash. But I would love to see you kind of like, you know, really stretch your wings and really kind of explore that avenue while still doing your Nintendo stuff. Because I think your Nintendo related characters and the custom amiibos are just so good. But speaking of which, when did you first realize that what you were doing and putting it out there on the internet, you know, through social media and otherwise, when things started to really get a lot of attention and really things started to blow up for you?
Well, I started on Instagram, and that's when I knew I was onto something because people really cared about what I created. And it was really cool to get that feedback. And then next thing you know, I'm getting more than just feedback. I'm just getting support, and I'm getting likes, and I'm getting follows, and, you know, all this amazing community that stands by me today and continues to support my work. It's incredible. So the moment that my Instagram started to blow up, I knew that people really loved my work, and I wanted to continue to bring happiness to those that wanted to see amiibos, custom amiibos. And yeah, that's when I knew Instagram was where I first started.
Nice. Now, as a spin-off of that, was there any project or certain type of a custom amiibo that you made that probably didn't go so well, or wasn't received as well or as good as like a lot of your other work? Was there any like negative response to any of your work at one point?
Well, you know what? I always get negative comments here and there.
True.
It's never gonna not stop. But I cannot think of a time where it was just completely negative, which is always good. There are times where I feel like my art can reach a better level, and maybe there are times where I feel like I didn't, you know, I guess succeed in recreating the custom amiibo. But I can't think of a time where people really didn't like my work. If anything, like, I really don't give up. I have this very headstrong personality where if I start something, I definitely want to try to finish it as best as possible. And, you know, my community is definitely going to let me know if they don't like it. So
they're very vocal.
Very vocal, yes, especially on the internet. They're definitely going to let you know what their opinion is. So thankfully, I have a really nice community. I'll take, you know, comments as they are, and feedback and just try to be better.
So speaking of vocal community and feedback, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you decide to work on or that you do, because I know I've seen a couple of your streams here and there when you're working on some of the different Amiibo figures and characters, but when you decide like, okay, I'm going to take on this project or I'm going to approach this right now or I'm going to do this, where does that inspiration usually come from? Does that usually come from the community feedback where they're like, hey, you should do something with this character, you should do this type of version of a character, or is it more kind of a mixture of both, or is it usually just your decision?
Well, you know what? It comes from various areas, and I say that because it really builds up. So I can get it from the community, I can get it from my own inspiration, I can get it from my friends and family, and if that inspiration builds up so quickly, it just motivates me to want to see the end result. So a good example was Detective Pikachu, where it was announced the day of, and mind you, I was watching Sherlock and Detective Conan, so my inspiration for anything detective was just really out there, and I was just so excited to see Detective Pikachu. And that night, I had to finish it, and the next day, I released it, and he had his own little monocle, and he had his hat, and he had all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, when I get inspired, what really motivates me is picturing the end result and seeing it completed and finished in real life. And that's what definitely motivates me, is because, you know, I get it from not only my community and friends and family and people on the internet, you know, their inspiration motivated me to create, you know, Detective Pikachu or custom Amiibo, and it continues to motivate me today. So
yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And again, I guess something was out in the universe. It was like, you must make Detective Pikachu. There's little signs that pop up here and there for some people, and it usually ends up being into something like really, really cool, really great for a lot of people. But I'm curious to know, you know, as a spinoff from the characters that have Nintendo and stuff, you also do a lot of custom Amiibos for content creators, different personalities, celebrities, etc. Where did that really start, and how does that usually go about? It's like, do you have to be like a fan of a specific creator, or do you get like recommendations, or you just see someone cool and you're like, you know what, let me make this?
So again, it's definitely various areas. So I will definitely get a lot of recommendations, which I love, because then I get to meet and get introduced to different content creators. Sometimes the content creators reach out to me, which is even cooler, because I would never expected them to say hi. And then, of course, it's people that also have inspired me throughout my years, and being on YouTube and meeting them in real life sometimes, which is a opportunity that's amazing. You know, so a good example is Philip DeFranco. Me and my sisters have watched his show ever since we first got our YouTube channel, you know, and he's been such an amazing inspiration when it comes to just catering to your community and giving the hard news without bias. True. You know, so there's just, it comes from various different areas, and I love making content creators into me's, because I know that they cherish it, and I know that they'll display it, and that's what I love to do with my art, is, you know, give it to people that continue to inspire others to chase after their dreams. Because there's a lot of content creators who have helped me and who have inspired me to continue down this path with art and, you know, being an independent artist. So yeah, it definitely comes from various areas. So
that's pretty cool. Now, there's one specific one I want to ask about, and I want to focus on for just a tiny bit, because obviously this is one that spoke to me and spoke to a lot of other people around the world, especially when you created it and, you know, with stuff that was happening at the time. I want to talk about the Satoru Iwata me that you actually made, that you were part of and, you know, designed and stuff. You know, what went into that? You know, what was the thought process for you at the time when you were making that?
So that one is definitely something that's really close to my heart. A lot of people ask me, like, what is my favorite custom Amiibo, and that always comes up. And it's true. It's definitely my favorite one. When he had passed away that day, something in me was just, you know, I had to do something. I know it impacted everyone in the Nintendo community. He touched so many lives, and it's a feat that not a lot of people accomplish before they leave this world. You know, so he was a special human being, and again, for him to inspire so many people, I felt like I had to make somewhat of a tribute. So that night, I took the Amiibo. I had this I guess, vision of what I wanted it to look like. And I wanted him to stand tall and stand firm and stand with confidence, because I feel like that's the type of man that he was. And I wanted to also showcase his accomplishments, and I did that by making certain items and putting it on the base, and he stood tall on top of this pile of things that he did in his life. And I wanted to make sure that he shined as if he was a knight for everyone in the Nintendo community. And after completing it, I knew that I could not sell this. This was something that I didn't want to reproduce continuously and just hand it out to anyone. I wanted it to do more and impact the world, so it shows that even though someone is gone, they still can impact the world or inspire others in some sort of way. So I had donated it to St. Jude. It raised about $2,000, which was amazing, and I continue to make it only for giveaways and, of course, charities. So that one is a very special custom amiibo in my heart.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, again, it's a testament also to making great art that makes more of a statement than just going for profit. I think that also at the time, when Iwata had passed, it obviously affected a lot of people, but also, again, he meant so much, and a lot of his work is really going to not only outlast, his legacy to obviously outlast his life, but also it's going to reach out to many generations beyond that. And I feel like there's a couple select individuals in gaming that would do that for example, obviously Miyamoto, obviously Hideo Kojima, and you could go down the list and stuff. But speaking of which, I don't remember if you've necessarily done amiibos or done memes of like other Nintendo personnel or other big personnel that are within gaming. Obviously Miyamoto being an example, or Reggie Fils-Aimé, the list goes on. Have you ever done or considered something like that?
I have. I actually did do the rest of the cast. I did Reggie. I did Miyamoto. So those ones, I don't remember what necessarily happened to those. I believe that someone did give it to Reggie. Yeah. I gave it to a friend who attended an event who gave it to Reggie. I want to do another whole set just to allow people to see what it will look like, with the whole cast and everything. That's another project that I want to do. But right now, I'm definitely I'm definitely focusing on a lot of content creators on YouTube, and that's what I want to do. Is I want to reach out to these people who have inspired me and give back in a way. I'm telling you, I am addicted to people's reactions when they receive custom amiibo. Especially when they do unboxing videos. It really motivates me to continue to make amiibos for just people, because I know when they get it in the mail, they are just flabbergasted and they are excited and happy. And for me to bring that happiness, even if it's for just a couple of moments, it really does fill me with joy, and it reminds me why I make art.
That's awesome. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. And also I can imagine that it could be very difficult, obviously doing so many at one point. Like, what's the most difficult part about whether it's making content creator custom amiibos or just character custom amiibos? What's the most difficult part of actually sitting down and actually creating something like that?
It is, well, to be honest, it's really easy, and I believe anyone, in my opinion, can definitely customize amiibos. I think the hardest part is continuously finding that passion to do so, because you can get burned out as an artist, and I know a lot of artists face this challenge where they get so many orders and there's a huge backlog and a whole entire list of things they got to do. So I think it's very important to find that passion, that motivation, to continue making art, and realize that if you take a deep breath, you don't stress out too much, every step towards that goal, is just a little bit hard work here and there. And, by the end of it, you'll get all your work done. And I think that's the hardest part, definitely, when it comes to customizing amiibos, is continuing that passion and not getting too overworked.
Now, I always wondered, besides getting amiibos to customize and change them up and stuff, did you ever just collect amiibos or figures like that just to have them, or just to put them in a collection where you could just look at them on your wall or put them on display and stuff without really messing around with them?
Oh, yes. But the thing is, though, with me is that I am very specific when it comes to figurines. Very, very specific. And I love figurines that have a lot of details. So I'll keep, I have a Pikachu, I have a Ganondorf, I have, certain characters that I love. I don't have all of them because, again, I'm very minimalistic. Amazingly, as an artist, my desk is covered in paint, but pretty much everything around me is just very minimalistic. If whatever I need in my life that is efficient, I'll keep. So when it comes to figurines, I want it to be something that I don't just like, but I love. So I do have a Bombshell Hot Girl figurine
Nice.
that I fell in love with. Yes, and that one I fell in love with because of all the details. So I'll keep certain figurines, but then again, it has to have meaning, or it has to be definitely loved in a sense. So I keep certain ones, but not all of them. And I do keep custom amiibos from other artists. That one I actually love when I see someone else's style on another custom amiibo. That I absolutely love that. So I do have a couple of those sitting on my shelf as well.
Now, that brings up another point that I'm curious about. Like, do you interact with a lot of other artists out there that do something similar to what you do, or pick up little, exchange of ideas here and there that obviously would help you out, when you're creating different amiibos or just taking on different projects here and there? Like, has the collaboration or just the interaction with other artists like that gotten easier over time?
Oh yes, absolutely. The community that I'm with when it comes to custom amiibos are just absolutely amazing. I love them all. They're amazing artists. And being an artist myself, you have to interact with other artists because you're basically in the same boat. And I find it, just comforting to know that there's always someone who can relate to what you're going through. So I always collab with a ton of artists. I collab with Seth Hay, who makes all my box art. He's an amazing artist as well, graphic design. There's a ton of artists that I absolutely love to work with. And not only custom amiibo, but there's a lot of artists that are amazing drawers and illustrators and just, a ton of them. And I love interacting with independent artists because I know the struggle and I know what they're going through, and we're both going through it together. So
the struggle's always real.
The struggle is very real.
All the time, always, all over the place. That's something I think everybody could relate to. Like, that is the struggle. But I want to ask this as we start to wind down, because I'm also curious about this. You've obviously done a lot of work in relation to custom amiibos, which has gotten a lot of recognition. I mean, you've been interviewed by GameInformer recently. Congratulations. Well, at the time of recording this, which is really cool. You were also on Nintendo Minute not too long ago, which is very, very awesome as well. And you've become a Nintendo brand ambassador online, with your different custom content that you post related to you. But I want to know what's next for GandaKris. I want to know where are you going, or what's the next big goal, or something that you want to accomplish that I feel like is going to take you to a whole nother level, to the next level afterwards.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to start uploading a ton of content. That also includes, of course, custom amiibo, but I really actually want to get started on workout videos because I find it really important that gamers work out, or, not to
hit
look
the gym,
good, but mentally, yeah, not even just hit the gym, but just, get that 15 minutes, 30 minutes of workout, because for me as an artist, these past 2 years, it's been a blessing to absolutely become a Nintendo brand ambassador and to do all these things. But there are times that people don't see where it's really hard. Like, the struggle is really real, So I found it mentally for me, and it helped me so much that I did go to the gym, or I did give myself 30 minutes to work out. There were times where, I felt unmotivated, and not so positive. But then after working out, or, just doing a small jog outside, I would have this 360 turnaround where I had all this motivation and passion. So I definitely want to tell people, when you do have the time, go outside and breathe in the fresh air and go for a walk or a jog. It's really important to treat your body the way it needs to be treated, and give it the amount of work that, the amount of workout that it needs to continue to work hard towards your goals, because some people ignore those signs, and I think it's really important to realize that your body's calling out when it needs help. So that's one thing that I definitely want to get started. I'm also doing a lot of nerdy DIYs. So other than just custom amiibo, it'll also be a lot of nerdy crafts and DIY tutorials and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. And a lot of that is facts. Like, again, that's not just for artists out there. That's for anybody that just works on anything pretty much, that I feel like is very important. So that's pretty cool. That's interesting. I'm curious to see how that will turn out, over time and stuff. But now we come to the big one. We come to the final question that I ask every guest that comes on TK Spotlight. What is one thing this is a big one, so you might want to mentally prepare for this. The one thing that I ask everybody that gets featured on the show here is, what is one thing that you feel like, for the people that are listening to this show that probably listen to this, whether it's on YouTube, iTunes, or wherever else, what is one thing that you feel like you could tell them, or one thing that you feel like you could give to them that they could walk away with from this episode feeling like they got something, or something that will help them out? What is one thing you feel like you, GandaKris, could give to everybody listening to this episode now?
All right, so buckle in. But
get ready.
This is this is something that I hold really close to my heart, and I want people to realize that their dreams isn't out of reach. So a good example for me in my life that I've experienced, and again, I feel like if you go through life and you have these stories, share it. So this is one story that I absolutely love to share all the time. And in reality, I actually, in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. And, when it's your senior year and you're about to graduate, everyone's asking that question, and there's so much pressure, and you don't know where you want to go, and you can go down the avenue of, going to university or medical school or whatever, and it's just a lot being thrown at you. And I felt that way going out of high school. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. But for some odd reason, I was so motivated. And at the age of 18, I sent a letter to Nintendo, and it showcased all my art. And I even sent examples of this jewelry that I made that was Nintendo themed. So it was like 1-up mushrooms and Pokeballs and whatever. And I sent this incredible package that was so business-like, and I sent it off to them. And I eagerly awaited for a response. And then next thing you know, I got this letter in the mail from Nintendo. I opened it up, and it was the nicest decline that I've ever gotten.
A nice turn down.
Which is understandable because I'm 18, and I don't think they want to hire an 18-year-old straight out of high school. But, instead of seeing it as something negative, I took it, I framed it. It's right next to me. I saw it daily, and I used it as a motivation to say, hey, you know what? The fact that they even messaged me or sent me a letter goes to show that that dream is not out of reach, that I can still chase after this goal, and that it's obtainable. So for anyone listening that needs motivation, or, just an example of, what hard work can do for you in the future, keep going. If I had given up after receiving that letter, I wouldn't be a Nintendo brand ambassador, and I wouldn't have accomplished all these opportunities. So whatever it is in life that you want to do, make sure that you put the hard work towards it, that you continue to have that passion, and that you love what you do. And that's really important when it comes to, making a life for yourself.
That's real. Oh, that is definitely real. Again, I can relate, and even in my own craft, again, because I look at myself more as like a journalist, as a critic, in the games industry and stuff. But those are same type of, food for thought that, again, just reaches out and touches at least everybody. And I feel like in your story, obviously it's pretty cool because, again, you really, there's a big arc and journey here with a lot of stuff that you've done, and I think it's really good. I think you do a lot for the games industry and just in the Nintendo community specifically, but I think it's really cool stuff that everybody definitely should enjoy, whatnot. So I think that's pretty cool. But
thank you.
but Krystyne, thank you for coming onto the show finally to come chat with me here on TK Spotlight. I appreciate it. I think it's awesome. Again, like I said, I'm a fan of your work, and I think there's a lot of other fans out there of the stuff that you've done that they're going to get a lot out of this discussion. I feel like you were able to give them a lot, which is really, really cool.
Oh, I absolutely love podcasts. And for you, again, to reach out and allow me to be on this show, thank you. Absolutely. I cannot wait. If I go back to New York, I'm going to definitely hit you up, and we have to meet up. And grab
I know. PAX East. PAX East is coming out real soon.
PAX East, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and now it's on. But definitely, though, this was awesome. Okay, where can everybody find you right now on social media? I know you're on Twitter, but where are you at? Where can everybody check out your stuff?
So it's really weird because obviously if someone takes your name, you have to come up with this quirky little alias. But I definitely am on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter and Instagram are the same. It's going to be Miss GandaKris, so MissGandakris. YouTube is a little different. It's just GandaKris, so GandaKris. And on YouTube, I do YouTube tutorials like custom Amiibos and stuff like that. So if anyone wants to dive in to the custom Amiibo world, head over to my YouTube channel. There's a lot of simple DIYs that you can get started.
Definitely. I mean, I visited it a couple times. I can tell you it's a real deep dive into Amiibos. People were like, prepare, so you're going to need like a day just to sit down and just chill and watch a custom Amiibo stuff. But definitely, though, there'll be links to all that stuff, obviously, on the website and in the description box below if you guys are watching this or listening to this on YouTube. So you guys will be able to go directly to all that stuff. But Krystyne, thank you again for chatting it up with me. Again, really fun discussion. For you guys listening at home right now, let me know what's up in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys think about this discussion that I had with Krystyne Escalambre, Miss GandaKris. Tell me also some suggestions of other people you want me to bring onto the show. Any sort of thoughts that you guys have. And don't forget to leave a like on the video, obviously. Subscribe to the Koalition's YouTube channel for all our videos related to podcasts like TK Spotlight and the Co-op, as well as gameplay videos and interviews, a whole bunch of stuff here on the show. And don't forget, guys, we are on iTunes. We have the show on iTunes now. Please rate and subscribe if you can. Show some love. Spread it around so that way we can get some more cool guests on the show. Again, we will talk to you guys again very soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.